5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City. A fusion of politics, commentary, entertainment, and sports. Steve and his team bring you the latest news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
I do want to be clear, though. This is not solely or even primarily a military challenge. Over the past decade, American troops have made extraordinary sacrifices to give Iraqis an opportunity to claim their own future. Unfortunately, Iraqis' leaders have been unable to overcome too often the mistrust and sectarian differences that have long been simmering there. And that's created vulnerabilities within the Iraqi government as well as their security forces.
All right, folks, here we go. That was the president today making comments on the situation in Iraq. He said the U.S. will not be sending troops into Iraq. However, the USS George H.W. Bush is now moving into the area. Military action of some sort is possible. He said a lot of options remain on the table. And as you heard him say, he believes this is not a problem that could be solved militarily alone, that there has to be a coming together of various factions within Iraq. So it's going to be very interesting to see how far the terrorists proceed and what military action, if any, President Obama will order. We'll talk about that with John Fund. We have our expert panel coming up as well. So keep it here, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Also, in the race for House Majority Leader, since Eric Cantor has announced he's resigning that position come July 31st, or effective July 31st, in addition to Kevin McCarthy, who many believe is just another member of the House leadership, and not acceptable to many Tea Partiers within the House. You now have Congressman Raul Labrador, who has thrown his hat into the ring. We'll talk about that later on with Michael Steele, the former head of the RNC. So we have a full show for you, as you might expect. Always a lot going on. Let's watch more from the president.
Over the last several days, we've seen significant gains made by ISIL, a terrorist organization that operates in both Iraq and in Syria. In the face of a terrorist offensive, Iraqi security forces have proven unable to defend a number of cities, which has allowed the terrorists to overrun a part of Iraq's territory. And this poses a danger to Iraq and its people. And given the nature of these terrorists, it could pose a threat eventually to American interests as well.
All right, folks, as promised now, we welcome in John Fund, Newsmax contributor, national affairs columnist for National Review Online, and the author of a really great new book that everyone must read, Obama's Enforcer, Eric Holder's Justice Department. John, welcome, sir.
Thanks. My co-author, Hans von Spakowski, and I really got into this. This is the first full-length investigative treatment of what Eric Holder has been up to.
And you know how excited I've been in anticipation of this book. You and I have talked about it, and we'll get to that in just a second. But first, let me ask you about the circumstances in Iraq.
Well, this is a very perilous situation, both for Iraq and for American interests. And this is not the right time to say, I told you so, but we shouldn't be surprised if some people say, I told you so. 3 years ago, Barack Obama decided to leave Iraq completely, leaving absolutely no American forces there. He failed to negotiate an agreement with the Iraqi government, which everyone expected he would, to leave a few thousand people there. Now, 2 years before that, he released the guy who's now heading this very successful rebellion against the Iraqi government and literally could turn this into Saigon 1975 with U.S. helicopters flying off of the embassy in panic.
Yeah, it is symbolically horrific. It's horrific for those who fought there and lost limbs and sacrifice, and for the families of those who perished fighting there, to see these al-Qaeda flags now being raised in city after city.
It's an astonishing turn of events. It just goes to show we can train foreign troops, we can equip foreign troops, we can tell foreign troops who the enemy is, but we can't make them fight. And apparently something like 30,000 Iraqi troops literally just abandoned their uniforms and weapons, and now those weapons are being used to drive towards Baghdad. The president, I hope that he takes some action, because I don't think we can afford to have Iran have a much bigger strategic imprint in the region, and they would, regardless of whether or not the government actually fell or whether there was just a civil war. So it's yet again a complete failure of American foreign policy, and I have to say, the costs of this war and this conflict continue to mount, and looking back in retrospect, obviously we badly underestimated what was the task before us in 2003. Obviously that looks more and more like a mistake, but we can't go back and cry over spilt milk. We have to deal with the situation that's before us right now.
As you know, John, one of many, this Attorney General's been held in contempt of Congress, and your book, Obama's Enforcer, Eric Holder's Justice Department, and I love your co-author as well. He's been on many times as well. This is a book, as I said, and I don't say this often, that is must-reading for the American public to know what is going on, what kind of Attorney General we have in charge, the chief law enforcement officer in the land, who he is, what he's about, and what he's doing.
Well, unlike previous Attorney Generals, Eric Holder was always very open about what he was going to do for Barack Obama. He said, I'm part of the president's team. And rather than be a nonpartisan attorney general with, obviously some emphasis with the president's priorities, you have to expect that. That's why we have a change of administrations. And I have to tell you, I think Eric Holder has proven himself over and over again to be a polarizing figure in American life. And his violations of civil liberties, his selective prosecutions, should be of concern to all of us. I'll give you just one example. Steve, last year the Obama Justice Department marched into the Supreme Court, and they argued that the federal government should have the right to put a tracking device on all of the cars in the country if they wanted to, without a court order and without any evidence that a crime had been committed. The Supreme Court was so aghast that they voted unanimously, including Sotomayor and including Elena Kagan and including Ruth Bader Ginsburg, against this. This was one of 12 Supreme Court rulings in the last few years. The Obama administration has lost 9-zip.
Yeah, and I remember when it was, unless I'm getting confused with the 9-0 vote, not too long ago, it was nine votes. Now it's up to 12. This is unprecedented. And in addition to what they're trying to get away with, there's another aspect to this Attorney General, which you and your co-author so brilliantly put forth in the book, and that is by the title, the enforcer, and the protective nature that this Attorney General providing the shield around Barack Obama and the administration and the scandals.
Well, time after time we've seen scandals, whether it's Fast and Furious, the gun-running operation that cost the life of a U.S. border agent, to the IRS scandal, to the Veterans Administration scandal. Eric Holder promises he'll get to the bottom of it, but he withholds documents. He advises the White House not to cooperate with Congress, and in effect facilitates a cover-up.
Yeah, well, and this is something, again, evidenced by the fact that he's been held in contempt, and we could go with all the scandals and with all the cover-ups, John, I don't know if this is a fair question or not, but when you talk about the gun-walking scandal, the Fast and Furious, you talk about what they did to James Rosen, you talk about, appointing an Obama contributor to investigate the IRS scandal, right on down the line, what's the most egregious in your view?
Oh, that's like taking an arrow out and firing in any direction. You're guaranteed to hit a target.
True. No, that's probably true.
I would say this. I think that since we depend on open and transparent government, and since Barack Obama made that his most often quoted promise in the 2008 campaign, the fact that Barack Obama has refused to reveal exactly what the Justice Department is up to and why they're doing it, I think that has to be the worst, because it facilitates all of the other scandals. You know, when he said we're going to be open and transparent, what he really meant is all of your records are going to be open to us, and we're going to be very transparent about how we go through them.
All right, the racial aspect of this Justice Department. You know, the belief among the career Justice Department officials who quit, saying that you know, this administration or this department's only interested in civil rights violations if they're white on black, not if they're the other way around, and they have no interest in anything the other way around. One of the first things they did, of course, was let those Black Panthers accused of intimidating people at the polling place go after the Bush Justice Department had initiated the procedures against them. So racially speaking, this is kind of an unprecedented Justice Department as well, correct?
It's astonishing that we have a Justice Department that is supposed to believe in the color-neutral enforcement of laws, and all they do is constantly tilt the laws in a racialist direction. You know, now we have the Justice Department suing states over whether or not they want to change their election laws, something the Supreme Court just ruled last year they could do. The formulas that were limiting the states and what they could do to change election laws were outdated, 50 years old. Eric Holder has ignored the Supreme Court ruling. He is suing the states. And once again, trying to demonstrate that the law apparently is going to be race conscious rather than based on the content of our character, as Martin Luther King put it.
Yeah, very good point. Hey, John, great book. Congratulations to you. I know you're going to be, for those of you out there who want to watch tonight, Megyn Kelly's show on Fox News Channel.
Yes, I'll be on at 9:20 Eastern Time.
There you go, John Fund on the Fox News Channel with Megyn. Great talking to you, sir. Can't wait to see you soon.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, John Fund. The book, Obama's Enforcer, Eric Holder's Justice Department, and it is a very important piece of work, because when the chief law enforcement officer of the land is as described by John Fund and his co-author in that book, you got problems in a country, and we have them. We're coming back with the panel. Don't go away.